This show is definitely not for the guy that's been killing coyotes his whole life.
No.
It's for the new guy just getting into it, or the guy that's been doing it a while that's struggling.
Yep. When I first started hunting with you guys, I couldn't believe the dimness that you guys used on the lights and the speed at which you used.
Most guys, when they first start doing it, the first thing they ask is, y'all call them into that white light? That coyote right there? We could have put twice that much light on him, and I guarantee you he'd have kept coming. People think when they see that big bright light that we shine that way when we're just looking. We don't.
9 times out of 10, when you catch that bright shine back from those eyes, it's going to be a predator.
As long as you can see eyes, that's all you need to see at first. As long as you know there's something there, keep that light directly in their face and let them come right to you. I promise you it works. And you don't have to use white. You can use red, you can use green. It's a nice thing about these. You just turn a dial and you get whatever color you want. The more I thought about it the other day, I got to thinking that we've never done a show just for the beginner. I think that guys that are struggling, that's who we want this show to help. If there's one little thing they might pick up from this entire deal, to me it's worth it. If it helps them to be successful, that's what we want to accomplish. That's the way it's supposed to work right there, son. There's some fundamental things that a lot of guys, they're missing one little piece of the puzzle. If we can correct it and get them on the right track, maybe that'll help them start killing coyotes. I've said since day one, there's no right or wrong way to hunt at night. Just do it how it suits you best and have fun at it. However, for the guy just getting started who chooses to only use lights in the beginning like we did, there's basic key principles we've learned over decades of experience that's helped us exponentially put more fur in the truck, and it can you too. I just wish we could have learned some of them sooner. Every night hunter, when they first start out, questions whether to leave their light on or only turn it on periodically for fear it'll spook the animal. We've all been there and thought that exact same thought. It's human nature to think, if they see my light, they'll spook. Well, the reality of hunting predators at night with lights is the exact opposite of what any normal person would think. You actually have to reverse your thought process. From fearing they will see your light to the light itself is actually what's keeping them from seeing you. It's a simple concept most night hunters struggle with in the beginning, but once they've seen it work, then they'll understand the light is their friend. In my opinion, the most critical point in any stand is something I call the spot. It's that make or break moment once the eyes of a predator are first spotted. It's the very first interaction between you and him, where your light actually becomes a shield or veil, if you will, to everything that's behind it. As long as your light's in their face, they can't see anything that's behind it. You have to remember, he's been triggered by a natural instinct to go to the temptation of an easy meal. And that instinct will almost always supersede or outweigh being hit with a light. That's how this game works, as long as they haven't seen it before and perceive it as danger. And that, my friend, is what's possible when you embrace your light and not hide it. Hunters. is they all at some point find themselves sitting in the complete dark with the call blasting, wondering if a predator's coming. Well, unless you have thermal or night vision, the dark is no place for someone hunting with lights. Never turn your light off on a stand. The moment you do, you're giving back the biggest advantage you took from them to begin with, and that's their sight. I'm convinced some night hunters who think they're not getting anything to respond likely actually call in tons of animals they never even see, like this coyote. If our light had been off, he could have cleared the brush, made it to the truck, and left under 10 to 15 seconds. And if you're someone who shines about every minute or so, the odds are pretty good you would have never even seen this coyote. I remember one night something similar happened to Gary and I, and we had both thermal and lights looking for coyotes. We could easily see 100+ yards in every direction, which in most cases is plenty enough room to spot them between the two of us scanning at a pretty decent pace. Well, somehow a coyote manages to just appear in the middle of this field after 5 minutes of calling. Of course, there are times we will jump a coyote already in a pasture on occasion, but we usually spot them very early on when we first start calling. Had that been the case here, I would have easily seen him with thermal in the location we first spotted him from the rig. Gary had literally just gone through there with his Scan Pro, and I was lagging just a touch behind him, and this happens.
Right here. Holy crap, how did he get there that fast?
He's not the fastest with a light, but he's usually fast enough to see what he needs to before it's too late. But to this day, we still don't have a clue how this coyote got in the position he did, with neither of us seeing him. It just goes to show how easily they can get in on you, even when you are shining. One thing I will say we all love about a bright white light is you can simply read the animal so much better because he's lit up so much better. No matter how you slice it, being able to see every little movement to know exactly what they're thinking is a huge advantage that takes a lot of the guesswork out of knowing when to shoot.
Kill him.
Holy cow. That right there, Gary, is why you never turn your light off when you're hunting coyotes. You had to just gone through there with your light.
I just went to about right here and come back, and I couldn't believe he was as close as he was right there. He had to cover, what, 30 yards?
At least. I know the grass is kind of tall right there, but at the same time, I had just looked through there with thermal too.
He had to been hauling butt coming up that little old ridge through those trees and popped out. I guarantee he saw enough before I hit him with the light that he didn't want to come on in.
That's the perfect example of why you should never turn your light off, because let's just pose, for instance, for 1 second. Let's say that we shut our light off after we made a couple passes. The amount of time it took that coyote to cover half of that gap right there was what, 2 seconds?
At most.
Yeah, so in 5 or 6 seconds, that coyote comes in, busts you, and leaves before you ever even knew he was there. You wouldn't even know you called up a coyote.
Well, I was from right here, and I went over here. What, 90 degrees?
Maybe.
I'm not the fastest in the world scanning. 1, 2, 3. He had 4 seconds at the very most.
To get from those cedar trees to where he was at when we first picked him up was at least 30 to 40 yards.
Yep.
That's crazy. I know I was about to suck my bottom lip off trying to smooch at him to get him to keep coming, but he just wasn't having it.
I had the finger on the trigger because I've hunted long enough with you to know you don't pull the trigger till you make sure the cameraman's got it in focus. Then as soon as he says something, I don't even think you got killed completely out of your mouth till I'd already shot.
Kill him? Well, he didn't go nowhere. Let's go look at that thing. I'm pretty sure that's a big coyote. Good shot, by the way. As it turned out, this coyote actually made it 50 yards into this field in less than 5 seconds. And after seeing how big he was, there's no way he could have been there the whole time and us not seen him from our vantage point. Absolutely no way.
Oh yeah, that's a big old coyote. Holy smokes. Yeah, that ain't no spring chicken.
No.
My gosh. That's an old coyote, Gary.
Uh-huh.
I'm convinced if we hadn't had our light on right there, that sucker would have come in and left without us even knowing it.
We picked him up quick enough that he wasn't sure exactly what he was seeing.
Yeah.
Which made him hang around. But if it had another 10, 12 seconds, whatever, without any light on him, he'd have been able to identify anything that was going on right here, and he'd have been turned. You never would have known you even had one within shooting range.
There's some fundamental things that a lot of guys, they're missing one little piece of the puzzle. If we can correct it and get them on the right track, maybe that'll help them start killing coyotes. You know, for us, it was learning, don't turn your light off.
Exactly.
When we figured out it's the opposite of what you'd naturally want to think, we immediately started killing stuff, you know?
But you got to think, we have to have a light at night to see. They don't. That's how they survive at night.
Yeah.
You give them too long to look at your silhouette sitting beside a fence post with a flashlight or sitting inside of a big old truck.
Yeah.
You give them too long to look at it,
yeah, they know something's up.
Something's wrong.
We have guys that, ask us on Facebook, hey, we see you guys kill a lot of coyotes, and most of them are at night. We have a lot of coyotes in our area, but we just can't get them to come to a call. Probably 90% of the guys that are struggling, the biggest problem they have is turning their light off. And when they fixed it, we've had them come back and was like, I cannot believe this. It actually worked. That's why. You can't see them with the light off.
We've touched on the single most important basic principle of keeping your light on, but if we had to list a few of the others we've learned over time, what would they be? Well, we got together as a group and came up with an additional top 5 principles we feel every night hunter using lights needs to know. And here they are in no specific order. Keep your Fox Pro close to your light. When you're scanning, you're just looking for eyes, and you want that animal looking directly into your light, because that's what makes their reflector shine the brightest. You don't want them looking at the call 30 yards away from you. You want it right beside you. You have to remember, they're looking at a sound, not a light. This is not day hunting, and the need to get the sound away from you completely goes away when lights are involved. Shine with headlamps if possible, and the best we found out there is the Wicked Scan Pro. And again, this is related to eye detection. The closer your beam is to your eye, the more aligned it will be with what's reflecting back at you. In addition to keeping our hands free, the Scan Pro makes their eyes pop that much brighter. Not because it's something magic, it's simply because where it's at in relation to where they're looking. And hopefully that's at you because your call's there too. Learn how to use the mute button. It's 100 times harder to kill a coyote running over a call than it is one looking for it. Getting them there is half the battle, and the Fox Pro does that for you. But getting them killed once they're there all depends on what you do with them. And we've learned that simply muting the sound will usually slow them down enough to work with them the rest of the way with lip squeaks.
Get him.
Know where the wind's at, and if you have one headed towards it, don't be dumb like we were with this coyote and let him get there before you stop him. Do it sooner. We got lucky with this one, but it's always a good practice to get them stopped well before they even get close to smelling you. And finally, focus your efforts into finding new unpressured coyotes instead of trying to force the same old ones to come to your light when they're already wise to the game. This is key, so listen carefully to what I'm about to say. You'll never get a coyote educated to a light to unsee the light that made him that way. Think about that for a second. They're way too smart, and you'll usually only get one good chance to fool them. Beyond that, Stop trying to force it and go find the right coyote that hasn't seen it.
You know, this is for the new guy trying to start out, wanting to enjoy night hunting like we do.
Or the one struggling. If you've hunted 2 or 3 years and you haven't killed a coyote at night, there's probably 1 or 2 little things that you may be doing wrong. By changing it, it might completely change your results.
You're exactly right.
We really hope this show would help shed some light on all the things we've learned over time to help us be more successful. If this can help just one single person who may be struggling, then in our eyes it's worth it. Our goal is to give that person the best chance he or she can have to close the deal, and surprisingly, we've found success or failure can be determined by something extremely simple and basic. You never know how much of an impact little small things like we've discussed can truly help someone who just doesn't know because they've never been taught.
Right there by the pond, coming hard.
I got him. On him.
Yeah, he's coming.
Straight to the truck, man.
That's the way it's supposed to work right there, son.
Exactly. Dude, he never slowed down. Even when you muted the call, he didn't slow down.
He didn't slow down at all.
Fully committed right there. Outstanding.
Suckers are moving with that storm coming.
Oh, what a great night.
Love it when a plan comes together. That sucker didn't want to stop, Matt.
He did not.
Let's take him and drag him over here by the truck, out of the wind.
Yeah.
The wind is blowing so hard, I want to put him over here right next to the truck.
You got it?
We had to growl at that one to slow him down, but as usual, the lip squeaks finally did him in. If you pay close attention from here on out when watching Night Crew, 99% of the time when you see a coyote, you won't hear a call in the background. That's how we can work a coyote in front of those lights the way we do.
I don't know what, maybe 2 minutes on the call, and here he came.
Yeah.
You know, you said left of the pond, and man, I didn't catch him. You're the one, you caught him with the thermal first, and I mean, but there was no doubt as soon as you said left of the pond, there he is.
When I first hit him with the thermal, man, he was just jumping and diving over bushes and all kinds of stuff.
You know, you muted the call at one point, and it didn't faze him. He didn't slow down.
Not a bit.
You saw him go through a little bit of mud, maybe, you know, where the pond had dried out a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was the only time he slowed down.
Yeah, that's a big old coyote.
Came coming.
Full grown one. You know, it's funny, we get questions about these lights all the time. You know, guys that are just getting into calling. Most guys, when they first start doing it, the first thing they ask is, y'all call them into that white light?
Right.
I'm like, that coyote right there, we could have put twice that much light on him, and I guarantee you he'd have kept coming. When you get one that wants it bad enough and everything goes your way,
right,
that's how it's supposed to work.
Straight to the truck.
Yep.
Never deviated, never paused, straight to the truck.
He didn't get this close to the truck. We just got out of the wind a little bit.
Yeah. That was 30 yards, though.
At least.
This will never get old as long as I live. And until you've experienced this in person, you won't truly grasp how much fun it is. Watching it on TV is one thing, but being there to see it with your own 2 eyes will make you a believer.
When I first started hunting with you guys, you know, I couldn't believe the dimness that you used on the lights and the speed at which you used. You're not looking for a coyote, you're looking for that little flash of their eyes. You know, you're not looking for a coyote shape, and sometimes you're gonna catch a cow or a deer or, you know, something else. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, when you catch that bright shine back from those eyes, it's gonna be a predator coming at you, you know?
Oh yeah. People think when they see that big bright light that we shine that way when we're just looking. We don't.
Right.
I mean, this right here is all you need. Take a Scan Pro and turn it on about 20%, and that's plenty bright enough. If it's at eye level,
Yeah.
you can catch eyes 200 or 300 yards out there, especially with a
Catch
cat.
it right back.
As long as you can see eyes, that's all you need to see
Right.
at first.
Yeah.
As long as you know there's something there, keep that light directly in their face and let them come right to you.
Yeah.
I promise you it works. And you don't have to use white. You can use red. You can use green.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about these. You just turn a dial and you get whatever color you want, but that's plenty bright to be able to pick up eyes and know that there's an animal there, because
Right.
that's all you need to know,
Yep.
is if there's an animal there.
Yeah. You know, the thing I would suggest is don't be so anxious to shoot. If they're committed, you're going to be able to tell they're committed. Yeah, if they start trying to get your wind and stuff, yeah, you know, go ahead and take them out. But at the same time, man, let them get close. They don't know you're there, you know?